Welcome all, welcome to another session of Highway Engineering. This session we are going to talk about vertical alignment and its various design aspects. So let's first understand what is meant by a vertical alignment and how important is to do the design of a vertical alignment. Now if we look around, you can see that the natural ground, the topography available is not same everywhere. At some places one can have a leveled surface. At some other locations, take a mountainous areas or a hilly regions where the profile itself is varying. So one can see slopes or gradients of varying magnitudes. How to align highway under such cases? That's what is that is what the concept of the vertical alignment is about. So consider a existing topography in this manner where slopes of varying magnitude is there, and this is the proposed highway alignment over there. This is the proposed alignment at this particular region. Now, in order to achieve this alignment, one need to go for a deep excavation, in the sense earthwork. So cutting has to be done, cutting, filling, all these works have to be taken care of it, right? This will have huge impact on its project cost, because the construction work, so the construction cost increases, which will eventually reflect on the project cost. So generally this is not the practice people adopt. Instead, while aligning the highway, the common practice is to follow the general topography of the available land to minimize these kind of deep cuttings as well as high embankment, and also looking into other requirements, kind of drainage and other considerations. Now, so if you talk about a vertical profile of the road, so when we take the vertical profile of the road, it will have level stretches as well as slopes and gradients. Okay. The vertical profile of the road consists of level stretches as well as gradients or slope. Now, whenever a change in gradient is happening, it is must to have a smooth vehicle movement. To ensure this smooth vehicle movement, the general practice is to introduce vertical curves. So let's take an example. Just consider two gradients. We'll explain what is a gradient little later, but just consider this as the topography. Now, to have a smooth vehicle movement over here, the practice is to introduce a vertical curve. So we are introducing the curve. So there are different types of curves possible, like valley curves, summit curves, which we will see towards the end. But the idea here is the point here is to understand is that the change in gradient available in the existing topography is to ensure a smooth vehicle movement over there. The vertical curves are introducing. This vertical curve along with the gradients is what generally called as a vertical alignment. So vertical alignment means if you take the center line of the road, the elevation or the profile of the road, that is what is called as a vertical alignment. It consists of gradients or slope as well as the vertical curves. Now, how important is the design of vertical alignment? So just take an example over here, which is change in gradient. I am introducing the vertical curve. So now this is going to be the vertical alignment. Right. So this vertical alignment, when a vehicle is approaching here, you just think about it. Which all factors it's going to depend on it. The first, obviously, the speed of the vehicle. Yes. And when it is an uphill or a downhill, we generally say like accelerate the vehicle, decelerate the vehicle. So acceleration, deceleration, these are another parameters which is vertical alignment is going to have influence on. And the second thing is the most important, the sight distance as well as the stopping distance. So the sight distance, the stopping distance. Then if you look at it, the comfort when you are driving on a hilly road. So the comfort, another parameter, and obviously the operation, vehicle operation cost. So all these parameters have huge influence on the vertical alignment. Whenever I'm sure whenever you are traveling like on hair bends and all, like you will be extra cautious with respect to the vehicle speed and other factors. So it is the geometrical design of vertical alignment is of highly important, because it's going to have a huge influence on many of the parameters. The vertical alignment consists of two components, gradients and vertical curve. Now we'll be talking about each of these components in detail. So first let's take gradients. Whenever you might have traveled on hilly regions, climbing the hill and climbing down, all these things you might have experienced. So let's define what is a gradient. When we talk about a gradient, it is a rate of rise or fall along the length of the road with respect to horizontal. That means with respect to a horizontal along the length of the road, rate of rise or rate of fall. This is what is meant by a gradient. So typically, to draw a picture, this is an up gradient. So up gradients are generally considered as positive, whereas down gradients are generally considered as negative, plus and minus sign. Now this rate in the rise or rate in the fall is defined as the gradient. Now let's understand how to express a gradient. The gradients can be expressed either as a fraction or as a percentage or even by the angle, the slope of the angle, slope angle. Now for example, as a fraction, if I am considering one vertical unit to x horizontal unit, then gradient can be right 1 in x or 1 by x. If in terms of percentage, n vertical unit to 100 horizontal unit, then it will be n by 100, which is n by 100, which is nothing but n percentage. Or it is even possible to write the slope angle. So angle of gradient, which is tan alpha. So these are the different ways one can express the gradients. Now there is another terminology which I would like to introduce here, which is called as deviation angle, capital N. If there is an intersection of two different gradients, I am talking about two different gradients. This is an up gradient, so I am calling it as plus n1. This is a down gradient, which I am calling it as minus n2. Now whenever two gradients are meeting, then the change in direction can be measured by an angle called as a deviation angle, represented by n. Deviation angle denoted as capital N, which is equal to algebraic difference between the gradients which are meeting. So the algebraic difference, if I am taking plus n1, algebraic difference, so minus n2. So in this case it will be n1 plus n2. So this is something called as deviation angle one can measure. Now let's talk about how important is to choose the right gradient. While aligning the highway, generally the gradients are decided to design the vertical curve. Normally the steeper gradients are avoided. We know that it's difficult to climb. Not only it's difficult to climb, it also has huge influence on the vehicle operation cost. Eventually the vehicle operation cost increases if you set up a very steeper gradient. So the highway designer has to think from all the various aspects: construction aspect, practical difficulty at the site, construction cost and the vehicle operation cost, and look about the various alternative alignments which is possible before deciding the gradient as to set out the vertical curve. Now let's talk about the various gradients that can be considered. So gradients are typically classified into 4 categories. So let's write it up. Types of gradients. The very first one is called as ruling gradient. The second one is called as limiting gradient. And the third one is called as exceptional gradient. And the fourth one is called as minimum gradient. Exceptional and fourth one, the last one is called as a minimum gradient. Let's see what is each one of these: ruling, limiting, exceptional and minimum. So let's start with the ruling gradient. First let's talk about ruling gradient. Ruling gradient is otherwise called as design gradient. It is the maximum gradient within which the engineer attempts to design the vertical profile of the road. So a gradient up to the ruling gradient is adopted for the design of the vertical alignment, and subsequently the quantities of earthwork cut or fill will be decided. The point next I am going to explain is that why the ruling gradient is considered as a design gradient. For that, let me talk about an example. So consider a vehicle is moving on a leveled surface at a certain speed v. Now, there will be some tractive effort, right, to in order to attain this motion. Consider the same tractive put in on climbing this vehicle and up gradient. So, the same vehicle with the same tractive effort, the tractive force or the let me write, the tractive force or the tractive effort developed here is the same going to apply here when it is climbing it. If that is the case, what would be the speed of the vehicle? Will it be the same or different? Obviously, your answer will be the speed will be reduced. Why? Because we know that when there is a motion against, when there is a raised surface on a gradient, the more forces, the resistance forces are more. So the power required will be more. So it may not be able to provide the same speed. And as the length of the grade increases, the increase in length of gradient, the speed would be considerably reducing. Right. Now, assume that the vehicle as it's in maximum pulling power. So we are now going to assume the maximum pulling power of vehicle. With this maximum pulling power, the vehicle may be in a position to sustain the same speed, but even on a longer stretch, but for particular gradient. I hope that point is clear. Let me wipe this out. Now we understood that on a gradient the vehicle speed reduces. Now we are going to talk about assuming a maximum pulling power of the vehicle. We are assuming the maximum pulling power of the vehicle. At that stage, even on a longer stretch, the vehicle would be in a position to sustain the same speed. But it will be possible at a certain gradient, not on a steeper. I am talking about one particular gradient this is able to sustain. But why it is able to sustain? Because the maximum pulling power developed at that will be equal to the power required for the resisting force to counteract all the resistance force. To overcome all this resistance force, the power required will be equal to the power provided by the engine itself. If such a scenario in this case if this case happens, even on a longer stretch, the vehicle would be in a position to maintain the same speed. But this happens only at one particular gradient. That gradient is called as design gradient for this particular vehicle at that particular design speed. This is how design gradient of a vehicle is calculated. It is easy when we are talking about one vehicle, one design speed. But look at our traffic condition. We have mixed traffic and we know about the diversity of vehicles. There are light commercial vehicles, heavily loaded truck on the other side. The load carriage is again different. Some vehicles will be overloaded, some has very light luggages carrying into it. So it's quite complex to calculate into a precise standard for what exactly is the design gradient one need to select for the design of vertical curves. Now, so what is the general practice we will do is that we will look for the critical length of any gradient, because the length of the gradient is an important parameter. So critical length of the gradient means the maximum length of the gradient in which a heavily loaded truck, any commercial heavy vehicle, heavily loaded truck can travel without undue reduction in its speed. Generally the speed limits we say 25 km per hour, reasonable limits, like it can travel on a certain length, the maximum length in which there is no considerable change in its speed is going to happen. So that's how we will consider the critical length. So critical length is another parameter, important parameter we will look into the design. So looking into all the critical problems, looking into the wide diverse mixed traffic condition, the various capacity of vehicle, because engine power is different for different vehicles. The capacity of the vehicle itself is different. So looking into all these aspects, IRC has come out with certain guidelines. They say for the different terrain conditions available, so for the plain terrain, rolling terrain, mountainous terrain and the steep terrain. So for different terrain conditions, IRC has come out with guidelines for the value of the ruling gradient or the design gradient can be considered. For example, plain or rolling terrain, the design gradient is limited to 1 in 30. That means hardly 3.3 percentage. For a mountainous terrain, it is considered as 1 in 20. That means 5 percentage. For a steeper gradient, it is 1 in 16.7. It's a steep, this is mountainous. All these classifications and all we have discussed in the previous based on the cross slope available. So this is 1 in 16.7, which will come close to around 6 percentage. So one can see, like, as the terrain varies, the design values are varying. Very flat terrain in a plane or rolling, whereas little steeper gradients and much higher gradient when you are going to from mountainous to steep gradient. So this is how the IRC is suggesting about choosing the ruling gradient. Now let us look into the second one, which is called as limiting gradient. Limiting gradient. So limiting gradient is, for example, let's take about a hilly road. So hilly road means or a mountainous locations in which certain stretches will be there in which a vast difference in elevation will be there. Change in the slope or the change in the gradients is too much. So in such cases, if you provide a flatter gradient over there, what will happen? It will ask for considerable earthwork quantities, like the cost as the filling as well as the cutting will be like considerably increasing. So this may going to have an effect on the construction cost. So certain locality, it compels to have a steeper gradient compared to the ruling gradient or the design gradient. If you chose the choosing gradient to apply over there, if you chose the ruling gradient or the design gradient to apply over those place, it will result unwantedly in the huge construction cost. So it according to the locality requirement, if there is a requirement for a steeper gradient, that is what is called as limiting gradient. So limiting gradient means it is a steeper gradient greater than the design or the ruling gradient. It is steeper, but this is provided like very short stretches. Now if you have such kind of limiting gradient, one need to separate the gradient, steeper gradient, either by providing a level stretches or by having a smooth change in grade. That is something has to be, measures has to be taken care. Again, higher IRC has given values for according to the different terrains. So if I say the values, it is 5%, 6% and 7%. 5, 6 and 7. 5 for plain terrains, 6 for mountainous and 7% for steeper. So limiting gradient is a steeper gradient compared to the limiting gradient. Whenever the site compels to have a steeper gradient, one can go with the limiting gradient, provided only for short stretches, but measures have to be taken care to separate such kind of steeper gradient. Okay, now let's talk about the third one, which is exceptional gradient. As the name itself it is there, it is exceptional case. Probably it is it will have like very hilly or mountainous areas in which higher steep, much higher steeper gradient compared to the limiting gradient would be required. So this is what is called as an exceptional gradient, and make sure that it should be provided considerably over a short stretch. So the limit is less than 100 meter. The length of such gradient should not be exceeding more than 100 meter. Because steeper gradient, we have all the practical difficulty, to attain the speed, to have the sight distance, stopping distance, all these will be a tough task to accomplish over there. So the distance should be limited up to 100 meter. Okay, so this is what is called as exceptional gradient. Again, values are provided by IRC. 6.7% for a plain and rolling terrain, 7% for mountainous and 8% for a hilly region, steeper. So mountainous and steeper areas 8%. So you can see, as the name intimates, exceptional. So we are going with a gradient of 8%. Now let's talk about the fourth one, which is called as minimum gradient. Now Minimum gradient is a slightly different concept. The minimum gradient is important only at those locations where drainage is surface drainage. Let me write that word properly. Where surface drainage is important. Generally, this surface drainage we will take care by providing camber or the cross slope. So it is a lateral slope. Let me draw the picture. So generally we have this camber or lateral cross slope provided in order to drain the surface water. So it is a cross slope we are providing, lateral slope. But at certain locations it demands a longitudinal slope. Longitudinal slope. So at certain location it is essential to provide a longitudinal slope to drain off the surface water from in the side drain along the length of the road. In the side drain, longitudinal slope need to be provided. So this is what is called as minimum gradient, and as the names intimated, we are providing a minimum gradient, right? So for example, if it is a concrete side drain, one is going to talk about it as 1 in 500. If it is of soil drains or an open drain, the value is like 1 in 100. So we can see that how minimal we are providing open drains. Again, this value is going to depend on how much is the rainfall at that particular area, what is the type of soil, how much is the runoff. All the other parameters are going to come into picture. We are not talking all these details. But to have an understanding, it's just understand that minimum gradient is a longitudinal slope, and this is to take care of the surface drainage. I think that idea would be sufficient enough to understand the various types of various types of the gradients. Now we will be ending up the session by talking about one more concept, which is called as grade compensation. Grade compensation is a concept which is more related to curve resistance. We have seen that when a vehicle traverses the horizontal curve, there is some resistance developed, loss in tractive effort. So that is to be defined as curve resistance. Similarly, when a horizontal curve is introduced in the vertical alignment, especially for the hairpin bends, you might have seen the horizontal curve which is coming part into the vertical alignment. So this curve resistance is also applied in this vertical alignment. So we will see like what is that, how that curve resistance is compensated in the vertical alignment. So let's first understand the meaning of curve resistance in a proper manner. So in automobiles, generally the automobiles are steered up by turning the front axles, and generally the rear wheels do not turn. So when the vehicle takes a turn, there will be the rotation followed by the front wheel as well as the rear wheel will be different. So let's sketch it up. So let me draw a vehicle. This is the front portion, steering body, and this is the rear wheels. Rear wheels follows, this is the path followed by it. So the rear wheels follow tractive force in a direction which is parallel to the path. This is the direction in which is going. So this is the tractive force T develops over here. And the front wheel, the steering wheel or the front wheel is in this way. And so that is, it is turning, the rotation. And this is the tractive force developed will be tangential to the direction of this tractive force. So let's assume that it turned by an angle alpha. So take the tractive force component, it will be T cos alpha, right? So there will be a loss in tractive force because of the turning of the front wheels. Now, as the angle alpha increases, what is that? When if it is a very sharp radius, so sudden sharp turn it is taking, so the rotation is more. In such cases, T cos alpha value is going to be considerably decreasing, right? So there is a loss in the tractive force when a vehicle negotiates a curve. This is what is called as a curve resistance. So we'll call it as T minus T cos alpha here, and that will be T into 1 minus cos alpha. This is what is called as curve resistance. To negotiate the curve, there is rotation by the front wheel. Because of that, there is a reduction in the tractive force. This reduction in tractive force is called as the curve resistance. Now, when such a curve, horizontal curve is applied on the vertical alignment, there is the same, the tractive effort has to be counteracted. This tractive effort is countered by reducing or decreasing the gradient. So when the horizontal curves are introduced in the vertical alignment, that would be set for the maximum permissible gradient. So that permissible gradient we will be slightly reducing. How much we will see it. So we will be reducing in order to counteract the loss in the tractive force. This reducing or compensating the gradient is called as grade compensation. I hope that is clear. In order to counteract the tractive forces from the permissible limit what it is decided, there will be some reduction in the gradient we will be considering. That is what is called as grade compensation. Now IRC has given empirical formulas to calculate it. Grade compensation expressed in percentage is equal to 30 plus R, where R is nothing but radius of curve divided by R. And the maximum value is limited to 75 by R. The most important point to be understand here is that the grade compensation is not necessary for gradient flatter than 4%. Beyond 4%, there is no need for a grade compensation. So, whenever such type of problems coming, the points you need to understand is that find out the ruling gradient which is adopted there, calculate the grade compensation. If you know the grade compensation, you need to check with whether the grade compensation is well below the maximum limit. That's what we specified, like two equations. One is 30 plus R divided by R. This is to calculate for the grade compensation. Just find out is that grade compensation is well within the maximum, which can be calculated from the equation 75 by R. Whichever is the highest, if this value is higher than the maximum, limit it into maximum value. Now, how much is the compensated grade will be ruling gradient minus whatever the grade compensation which you have calculated. I hope the concept of grade compensation is clear. We'll be doing one problem, numerical problem, to make this concept much more clear. So it's taken from Kannan Justo textbook. The problem is like this. While aligning a hill road with a ruling gradient of 6%, a horizontal curve radius of 60 meter is encountered. Find the grade compensation and the compensated gradient at the curve. So they say it is a hill road and they say it has a ruling gradient. So ruling gradient is given as 6%. Now the radius of curvature is given as 60 meters. Over here they are asking to calculate how much is the grade compensation at the curve. So first, what is the ruling gradient is known. We know the radius value also. So calculate the grade compensation. Grade compensation. How to calculate? Use the equation 30 plus R divided by R. So here all are in meters, so not a problem. 30 plus 60, 90 divided by 60, which is equal to 1.5. Please remember the unit is in percentage, 1.5%. Now find out the maximum limit. Maximum limit of compensation is 75 by R, which is 75 by 60, which you will get around 1.25%. So what is that? Maximum limit in the compensation is talking about 1.25, whereas the grade compensation empirical relation gives 1.5, higher value. So limit your value into maximum value 1.25%. Now calculate the compensated grade. So we have provided 6%, but on the curve part, to counteract the tractive force, in order to counteract the curve resistance over there, 6 has to be further reduced. So calculate the change in the compensated grade. How much is the reduction? Compensated grade is, reduction is 6, from 6 to 1.25 has to be decreased, which will be giving to 4.75 percentage. So finally, over the curve portion, one has to provide a gradient of 4.75. This is how we will generally calculate gradient. So I hope the concept of vertical alignment and the focus we have given on gradients, various types of gradients and grade compensation is clear to you. So please, as I always say, like please post your queries, clarifications, suggestions. Probably the next class we'll be continuing the topic and we'll discuss about the vertical curves, summit and valley curves. Thank you.